I'm Rabbi Daniel Lappin, and I want to thank you for sending in your questions to my website. Here's a great one. I've been reading your book, Buried Treasure, Life Lessons from the Lord's Language, and one of the things you said was that if either partner in marriage feels like a martyr, then it is very bad. Can you explain further why and what that portends? And this is from Maureen. Maureen, first of all, thank you for reading our book, Buried Treasure. It's one of my wife, Susan, and my favorite books we wrote, and it is Life Lessons from the Lord's Language. Yes, you were referring to a particular chapter there where we were talking about exactly this idea that if either partner feels resentful in a marriage, that is not a marriage in which God resides, right? When we speak of the covenant of marriage, we don't say the contract of marriage or the agreement of marriage. It's a covenant. Why? What's the difference between a covenant and a regular contract? Regular contract's between two parties. You agree to sell me your car. I agree to buy your house. But a covenant is between three parties. In this case, the covenant of marriage is between a husband and wife and the boss, between God. God's involved. And God residing in a marriage depends on the joy in a marriage. Second thing I want to point out is that love is very important. And we've got to understand that when a man sometimes says to a woman, I love you, we've got to recognize that what he actually means is that he loves her the way he loves roast turkey. He wants to consume her, to take her, to have her. That is not what love means. In the Lord's language, the word love breaks down. It's a compound word that breaks down into the words, I give. Isn't that beautiful? You want to know when somebody, and I know when suitors court my daughters, always, I only have one thing I'm looking out for. Is he a giver or a taker? Is his enthusiasm for my daughter surrounding his desire, not for her only, but by a desire to be a giver to her. And that's why even in the physical intimacy aspects of marriage, one of the ways that God created us is that a man is desperately eager to know that his wife found deep ecstasy and satisfaction in the relationship as well. It's built into us to want to be givers. And when there's resentment that causes a sense of martyrdom, it's obviously a very real problem, Maureen. Is it because one person is doing all the giving and the other person is doing all the taking? Does the marriage need recalibration? Let me just tell you one way that this very often crops up. You probably already know that we guys, we're not good communicators naturally. One of the reasons God gave us marriage is to learn to be better communicators. We tend to bottle up our feelings, particularly in the area of physical connection. If a man is feeling that he's being deprived of a physical affection from his wife, he usually doesn't sit down and say to her, we got to talk, right? That phrase that usually sends chills down the spine of a man is when his wife says, we need to talk, right? Most guys get terrified by that. Most guys never say to their wives, you know what, we need to talk. What he does instead is just become cold. He just turns off and retreats into a kind of glacial iciness. And his wife very often, you know, she may be terribly busy and overworked and stressed. She may not have the faintest idea of why he's doing this, but the result is definitely resentment and a sense of martyrdom. Talking is the most important thing. And so even if there's nothing special to talk, sometimes the wife is the one who has to say, we need to talk. He says, really, what about? She says, not about anything special, but I just feel we haven't spoken a lot lately. Let's take a date night, not to a movie, but let's go to a restaurant where we can just talk to each other. I want to hear how you're feeling about things in the marriage right now. That's what I suggest, Maureen. It's what I'd love to see you and your husband doing, and it's good advice for everybody. I'm Rabbi Daniel Lappin, and I wish you only good times in your family, your friendships, your faith, and your finances.